Hello, my name is Rebecca Ledbetter, and here is my discussion post for Week 3, Discussion 2, Learner Differences. My background experiences and my first memory. I have posted a few things on here. I'm not going to read them as far as autobiographical memories and metacognition and our awareness, what it means. You can read that for yourself. About myself, I was born in April 1964 in a little town called Palisadro, California, just outside of Redding, California, where I grew up. I played sports in elementary school and high school and junior high school as well. I was a cheerleader throughout my junior high and high school years. I became an unwed teen mother at the age of 18 and dropped out of school. And a few years later, I went back and got my high school diploma. I then married my daughter's father when she was 7 years old. We had 2 children together, and we have 6 grandkids. I graduated with an AA degree in dental assisting studies in 1998. And I will be graduating Ashford University in 2017 with my bachelor's degree in psychology, at which time I will move on to obtain my master's degree and then my PhD in psychology. My first memory was when I was 2 years old. I remember sitting in a little wooden chair that was brown in the front yard or the side of the yard. There was grass all around, and the grass was really tall. I can remember touching the grass and pulling up on the grass blades with my fingers, and my mother was hanging up clothes on the clothesline. That same memory that we had just got a dog, and the dog was outside with my mother and we had not named that dog yet. And my mother, I remember her asking me what we should name that dog, and I said, BB. That's what it sounded like I said to her anyway. I think I was actually trying to say baby. Anyway, the dog's name ended up being BB. Tragedy. As I do this assignment, my worst tragedy is taking place at the present time. My mother is in the hospital fighting for her life at this very moment. She's in the last stages of Alzheimer's disease, and her lungs have collapsed, and they've tried to incubate them, and they're full of fluid. The doctors are pretty surprised at how she is still alive. Another tragedy that happened in my life took place when my son was injured in Iraq. He ended up losing his right leg. Another tragedy that took place in my life took place in the year of 2006 when I found myself in the midst of a very abusive relationship. I used to have a mindset that why doesn't a woman just leave? And I used to say that all the time. Why doesn't she just leave? I think I experienced this because even at that time, I wanted to be a psychologist. I think I experienced this because I needed to realize and figure out somehow that a woman just can't leave. It doesn't matter if she has kids or if she doesn't, she just can't leave. And I learned that through my own experience. So I am no longer judgmental on women who stay in abusive relationships, because I learned through my own experience that you're basically tore down from the inside out. And that's why it's sometimes impossible to leave. Also, a tragedy that I did not put on here is 9/11, and I'm bringing that up because that tragedy is actually the tragedy that took place that led my son to joining the service. Um, Another tragedy is a tragedy that happens to all of us, and that's the loss of love, the loss of life, or of a family member or a good friend, or even the loss of a friend um, behind an argument. Victories that have happened in my life. Um, Freeing myself from the abusive relationship that I was in for so long, that was a victory for me. Being able to stand up and look my abuser in the eye and tell him that I was no longer going to be his doormat for him to wipe his feet on was probably the most single uh, strongest moment in my life. Um, I owe that to my parents. You know, my parents really instilled so many morals and values and ethics and advice in me while I was growing up that I was able to keep tap on all of the lessons that they taught me while I was growing up. And I think that's why I did not fall into the stay forever trap that a lot of abused women fall into. Um, I'm living my dream right now. I'm living my dream as far as my education goes and the career choice that I have. And that's another victory for me. My family is a victory for me. Even at this moment, while my mother is fighting for her life, you know, that family is always a victory. Publishing my book. I have a book that was published. I have a picture there of it, you can see. That was a huge victory for me as well. My hobbies. The first hobby that comes to my mind is I love to write poetry. I love just curling up in the wintertime next to the fireplace and writing a good book or poetry, a children's novel. I also love to go to flea markets and craft shows and yard sales. My family, I love family outings. Photography is a huge hobby of mine, as well as reading and just books. I will go to bookstores and just buy books. I have books I've never read that I've had for years because I just love books. My passions in life, once again, writing poetry and children's books and novels, and I love to write quotes. Those are all passions in my life. Psychology, the human mind. Um, I love to research and look into all the aspects of the human mind and everything that it holds and why we as humans choose to do some of the things that we have done. Um, I love the study of the criminal mind. I think that is probably one of the most areas that deals with psychology that I love to study. Why something affects one person to become a criminal, but another person that goes through the exact same thing, it does not affect them in that manner. Another passion, loving life. Life, you have to really love life to have passion for anything else in your world or your environment. My family is a huge passion of mine. Without your family, I believe that you don't really have anything. My daily routine. My daily routine really kind of fluctuates, but if I were to put it out into like a schedule, I get up around 6:30 to get ready for work every morning, and I have to arrive at work no later than 7:50. To open the office up, I have to open an office up and get it ready so we can see at least 35 patients each day. I only get a half an hour lunch, so I usually take it from 12:30 to 1. and then I get off work anywhere between 5:30 and 6, at which time I go home, which is only about 2 miles away from where I work. Um, I might eat a light dinner. Sometimes I don't eat anything. It depends on how tired I am. And I usually head off to my room, to my desk, and dive into my homework. I spend a lot of time doing homework as the internet is an issue where I live. So um, every chance I get, I'm at my laptop trying to get my homework done because the internet will just go out and then I have to wait for a couple hours and then it'll come back on. And so that's an issue where I live. I try to be in bed by 11 o'clock, especially if the internet is working. If not, a lot of times is I am in bed later than that. My frustrations. Right now I have one of my hugest frustrations is feeling like I have no control over so many things in my life. Um, and I have no control over my mother's illness, and I wish I did. If I did, she wouldn't be ill. School and work can be frustrating for me. I feel overwhelmed because I feel like I don't have enough time to get everything done. Watching my mother fade away before my eyes and feeling powerless, that feeling powerless over certain things in your life, that keeps me frustrated at times. I'm trying to stay in control of everything around me. My emotions. We all have a lot of emotions within us, and depending on how in control we have our emotions, sometimes they can get the better of us. I, over the years, have learned how to keep my emotions under control. Um, the one thing that I like to do as far as my emotions is, I love making sure that my family is safe. And feeling sometimes my emotions behind feeling like my family is not safe. Once again, I go back to my mother. My emotions are really, really high right now behind that, and behind being helpless and not being able to help her if she's in pain, wondering if she's in pain. And other emotions that I have, sometimes if I feel like I didn't live up to my potential, especially on a homework assignment, I can get pretty emotional behind that. One of my biggest emotional pet peeves, I guess you could say, is being lied to. I cannot stand being lied to. I think that people that lie, individuals that lie, harbor something within them that they need to get help for. I would rather hear the truth, no matter how horrible, how hurtful it's going to be, than to have somebody look me in the eye and lie to me. Another emotion of mine, or emotional aspect, something that I get really emotional about, is when individuals feel that everyone in their life owe them something. Also, when individuals don't try their hardest to achieve something. I think I might have my heading wrong. I think it should have been emotional aspects or emotional buttons, something like that. Sorry about that. My preferred intelligence. I really don't have a preferred set one. I think if I was forced to choose one, I wouldn't be able to choose just one. The reason being is because I believe that we all use some of the intelligent methods more than once, and even more than one at a time. But if I had to choose, there's two that I would choose, and that is interpersonal and intrapersonal. I would choose those because I feel that in order for us to understand others, we have to have our own sense of our own feelings and motives. And if we don't have a sense of ourself, then I believe that it's almost impossible for us to have any sense or feelings or understanding towards anybody else. My score on the interpersonal was 75. I believe that explains why I have a high ability when interacting with other people, um, to have a very highly effective verbal and nonverbal communication, as well as the sensitivity required to deal with their temperaments or their moods, or even to be able to see what their mood is and what might be behind it. So that this is my assignment, and I hope that you have all enjoyed learning about me. Here are the references that I used for this assignment, and thank you for listening.